Hey, hey, and it is Friday night, and y'all know what this is, part three of A Life Like No Other. Johnny, ooh, that Bama is so nefarious that it ain't even funny. It ain't even funny. Johnny is up to no good. So, I got a couple of shout outs I want to get by here. First of all, I want to acknowledge my brother Chris because he was very instrumental in me actually creating this story. And he had even offered some suggestions. He even had ideas about what Johnny needed to look like and some of the other things. And so, as I was talking to him as I was writing this, he was very supportive. So supportive that the hard copy book that I made to this story that I am actually going to sell eventually, but companies will be watching, is this. Can you see that? This is what my hard copy book looked like. This is my brother's artwork. This is what it is. This is what it looked like. And you can probably tell who's who. That's Yolanda in the very front. That is Cartienne, that's Tessa, that's Nikki, that's Alice, and that's Darcel, and that's Towanda over there. So I gave him the script to go by, and he did it. He did it. So thank you so much, Breezy, for all of your help. I also want to give a shout out to Gen X. Ooh, did I almost say Z? Gen X. Gen X is a resilient generation of people born between 1965 and 1980. Now, some people who born in 81 try to slip in there on Gen X, and maybe we can allow it, but Gen X taught the millennial generation everything they know. So if you're a millennial and you're ahead of your time, you hung out with Gen X. Not only that, Gen X used to fix our own broken arms, drink out of the water hose, be at the house by the street lights coming on, was latchkey kids, knew how to cook before microwaves were even thought of. Okay, and I'm wearing my Gen X shirt today because I'm the establishment. Okay, so just about all my siblings are Gen X, except for a couple of them that are in the Jones generation. No, one is Jones generation. One is technically a boomer. And then I have a brother that's born in 1983 who is millennial. So, but we Gen X, we on it. We had 9 lives, okay? So I want to give a shout out to all you Gen X people, okay? The other thing I want to give a shout out to is G-ROC. He's on the block at the scene of the crime every single time because his music is doing the doggone thing, and I always put his stuff in the description below, okay? Because there is some stuff going down in this part right here, and Johnny, I'm going to say that Johnny is my most amusing yet awkward and socially awkward Bama that's in this. Now, back in the day, I grew up in D.C. If you were called a Bama back in the day, that was fighting words. Nowadays, I call myself a Bama. But back then, back in the 70s and before that, and even part of the 80s, if you were called a Bama, you were just so uncool. Okay, I'm just going to put that on out there. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started. And I hope you enjoy because it is heating up in here. You hear me? All right. Take care, y'all, and have a good one. And I'll see y'all on the other side. Chapter 14, the lineup changes again. Yolanda Davis. I was the first to arrive at the studio. I carried the trombone to Studio Room 4, where there was a jazz recording about to take place. "Hey, Yolanda, thanks for picking this up for me," the trombone player said. "You're welcome." I went back to the third floor. Wani was there talking to Lydia, Patrice's youngest sister. "Oh, hey, cousin." I hugged her. "When did you get in town?" "Yesterday evening. You know, I graduated last week." "Yeah, I heard. Congratulations." "So, let me tell you what Lionel said to me last night." Wani began. "I almost forgot who Lionel was." I said, "Oh yeah, what?" He said, "I'm the prettiest girl he's ever met." Oh goodness. "Listen, Wani, he sounds like a real joke." "Well, y'all ought to hear him sing. He sung to me last night. Girl, what did he sing to you?" He sang, "Let's Get It On." That was a song she was speaking of by Marvin Gaye. "Wani, that's not a song I want a man to sing to me on the first date," I told my younger sister. Patrice entered the room, and I knew it was time to quit horsing around and get to business. "Hey girls, listen, Cardi is sick. She cannot make it today." "Are you serious? We'll never get this album done." "That's why Lydia is here. We have to move on. We cannot be waiting around for Cardi," Patrice said. Now Lydia could sing. She wasn't as good as Cardi, but all this meant was that I had to step up my game. I'd been able to hit higher notes lately. I'd gotten better in that regard. For that I was thankful, and so was Patrice. Otherwise, she would have gotten my friend Talitha, who sung more like Cardi. I still would have preferred my sister, though. This constant change was giving me whiplash. Every time I turned around, the face of our album covers were changing. Besides, we have a concert coming up in Philadelphia. We need 3 of you. Patrice reminded me. She must have been reading my mind. We got into the studio, and I hated to admit it, but Lydia threw down on those lyrics. I hugged Lydia, thanking her for doing such a good job. "I'm happy to be here with y'all finally." "So where are you going to be staying, Lydia?" "With Aunt Queenie and Wani and them." "You know we have plenty of room at our place." "I would stay anywhere other than with Patrice. She lives in this small 2-bedroom condo with papers and junk all over the place. All she does is write songs and scripts and stuff." "Right? I've been over there, cousin. Trust me." We headed out into the parking lot. And that's how my cousin Lydia ended up being in the group. So the lineup changed once again. Chapter 15, Successful but Unhappy. Yolanda Davis. Needless to say, Nikki left the label and moved to New York and joined McCoy's Records. She and Uncle had a knockdown drag-out fight because of it. "I've done everything for you, girl,"
McCoy is cutthroat, Nikki. You need to listen to me.
You're saying that because he's your competition. I will have more freedom if I move to McCoy's.
You can't be serious, girl. You don't know the world like I do. But if you insist on being hard-headed and not listening, then you'll get whatever's coming to you.
I'm just not going to let you control me like you have my sisters. You have decided their future. What they sing, what they wear. Your problem with me is that you can't control me. And the minute I mess up, you'll toss me out like you did my sister. Have you even talked to her to make sure she's okay?
Girl, don't you get up in my face questioning me about my business. How dare you?
Norman.
How dare you stand up in my face after all I've done for you?
Norman, stop it. Mama insisted. Nikki ran upstairs to her room. I hurried up after, but not before giving my uncle a look of disapproval. Nikki was lying on the bed crying. I'm so sorry, Nikki Boo. He's acting like me going to another label his betrayal as if I'm no longer his niece or something. Yeah, he does see it as betrayal. But you have to go with what you know is best for you. You're 18 now, and you've upheld your end of the deal. She sat up and hugged me. Thank you, Yolanda. I'm going to miss you, kid. New York is a good 5 hours from us. I can always come back and visit, and I can always fly to New York. However, do what you want to do. And so that event took place on July 18th, 1983, 2 years ago. Nikki was a major success after teaming up with frontman on several songs and producing her own solo albums. Frontman in the 1980s was one of the most successful hip-hop artists other than Steve Bass. But now it was 1985. And I've only seen her once since then. She was busy touring and giving TV interviews. I could not imagine what would happen next. We'd finished our third album and had toured much of 1984. Patrice had put L Wicks and Towanda in the studio together, and they recorded a song she wrote called Keep It Love, which ended up on his debut album. The two of them were going strong and had set a date to get married for April 1986. It seemed Lydia would be with the group permanently. Cardi had quit touring with us and recording with us. She said motherhood was making her tired. She'd given birth to a second boy and named him Gavin. Those were the most handsome kids I'd ever seen. My daughter was 4 years old now. My father was so proud to have grandchildren. Alice and Darcel were getting older too. Alice was almost as tall as me now, and she was 14. Darcel was now 12. 1985, what a year. It wasn't what actually happened during that year that was so eventful as much as the aftermath of the events of that year I took note of. I'd arrived at the studio one afternoon and Uncle summoned me to his office. What's going on, Uncle?
Close the door.
I shut the door and sat down. He posted himself behind the desk and said,
The only person who knows about this right now is Patrice. But I'm severing ties with Johnny.
What happened? I was not surprised, but I needed to know what happened.
Our new accountant showed me some numbers that are not right.
Our original accountant, Thomas Edgerton, had suddenly died a couple of months ago. Uncle had hired Brenda Timmons to handle the books,
and she discovered so many discrepancies regarding our pay, cost of tours, airfare, hotel stays. Thomas had been inflating the books, but for who? Who had authorized him to do that? I recalled that Thomas was hired by Johnny. I'm sure Uncle put two and two together. They inflated the amount of the cost of all of this to pad their pockets. Uncle said, but these costs were not as much as they said they were, I asked. Exactly. They did that to line their pockets over the years. Do you know what will happen to me if the IRS audited me? How would I explain this? And the deeper Brenda digs, the worse it gets. Johnny was the one person I thought Uncle should fire. That guy had been doing slick stuff all along. We had a meeting later that day. Uncle usually did not invite me in on those meetings, but I was sitting right there with the other board members. Uncle stated his findings during the investigation and what prompted him to investigate. We all have taken a vote, Johnny, and we all think your time here should end. The other man rose up, slamming his fist on the table.
You can't fire me. I built this company.
Uncle stood. They were two guys in their 40s about to have it out. Oh, but you're wrong there. This is my company, Johnny. You stole from the company. The board has voted.
You'll regret this.
Johnny grabbed his car keys that were lying on the conference room table in front of him and headed towards the door. Cartienne was standing on the other side of the door, about to knock, when he snatched the door open.
Come on, Red. Let's get out of here. We don't need this.
What happened? She asked. Johnny whisked past her and towards the elevator, but she did not leave with him at first. Uncle, what happened? What did you say to him? Your husband is no longer with this company. Why? Did you fire him? Cartienne, he stole from me. Stole from you? He can't steal from you. That's impossible. You're beautiful and talented, but you will never understand this business.
Red, come on!
Bellowed Johnny's voice from down the hallway. She hesitated. I stood, walked over to her. You know this has nothing to do with you, right? But he's my husband. I have to go with him. Besides, I'm tired of being in your shadow. Her words cut me. Cardi, what do you mean? I almost cried. Besides, Uncle is not firing you. As soon as your health is better, you can be right back to recording. But he's got... Cardi, I'm not firing you, baby. You're still with us. Uncle finally piped in. But he says he has big things in the making for me. That was the second time I heard her say that. What big things? Sit down and talk to me about these big things.
I said, let's go, Red.
Johnny had returned to the room, grabbing her arm and practically dragging her away. Hey, don't you be grabbing on my niece like that. I'll whoop your tail. You know what, nigga? I made strides over to them, and I knew what was about to happen. One of the male board members got up and stepped between them. The argument was now out in the hallway, and a couple of people came out of their offices when they heard the commotion. I don't care if she's your wife. That's still my niece. I'll have you arrested, nigga, after I put you in the ground. Uncle said, trying to get around the board members who separated them.
You'll be sorry for this, Preston. Trust me, you'll be sorry you done messed with the wrong nigga.
Afterwards, Johnny and Cartienne stepped onto the elevator and left the building. Brenda, have his proxy card disabled and have hers disabled too. Yes, sir, she said, and headed to her office to carry out that order. All she had to do was go into the computer and disable the card number. That was it. Johnny's threat was not an empty one. None of us could anticipate how Johnny would retaliate. The feud between the two had just begun and would last for years. Chapter 16, At the Grammys, Yolanda Davis. February 1987 Grammys was an historical moment. First delegation performed at the opening. We strutted out on stage wearing purple sequin short dresses with matching heels. Our hair was pulled atop our heads. I led off the vocals with the song Dance. We did our routine dance for the song, and Nikki came out right on cue and threw down her rap lyrics. She took the spotlight on stage and transitioned into one of her rap songs. We were in the background, still doing a dance, when frontman came out on stage, microphone to his mouth, rapping a song they'd done together. We faded to black and exited the stage, leaving the two of them on stage together, rapping their song. Their faces were all over magazines. BET was always reporting on them, their videos constantly playing on VH1 and MTV, and there was not a day that went by that you wouldn't hear their songs on the radio. Towanda had to move quickly once we got back to the dressing room. "Girl, you're a hot item these days," I said, kissing her on the cheek. She changed her outfit, slipping on a strapless black dress and rose gold heels. She removed the pin from her hair, allowing it to fall down her back. She turned to me. "How do I look?" "You look fabulous. Now go get him, girl." Lydia hugged her and she was gone, but we watched her on the monitor, standing on stage, singing the opening lyrics to Keep It Love. Then you heard her husband's voice before you saw him. He walked out on stage casually towards her, holding his microphone. He wore a pair of black slacks and a rose gold shirt matching her. I was so thankful that L Wicks was starting to change that image. Keep it love. I only wanna keep it love. They sang the chorus before they hit that last verse, which always brought chills down my back whenever I heard it. Don't stop the things that you do, 'cause you know I'm loving you. Don't stop the loving you bring, the things that makes my heart sing. This is love. This is love. This is love. This is love. Tawanda's voice reminded me a lot of Gladys Knight. No wonder Gladys loved her so much. That raspy soulfulness with so much emotions. The camera panned around the audience, and I spotted something that caught my attention. There was Cardi and Johnny in the audience. He was sitting on the aisle seat. She was sitting right next to him. And on the other side of her was our younger sister Alice. Next to Alice was Darcel. They looked very pretty, and it was a nice surprise to see them. Nobody told me they were coming. Cardi and I still weren't speaking much, and Johnny and Uncle never communicated after the breakup. I just wish things hadn't gone that way. Nikki came into the dressing room. She was excited. "Did y'all see me? Did y'all see me? Ooh, did y'all see me? Did y'all see me? Did y'all see me?" "Yes, we saw you, girl. You were a grand act." I stood and hugged her. Lydia and I had changed back into our outfits that we wore to the event. That was on the red carpet. It was time for us to get back out in the audience. "Did you know Darcel and Alice were here?" I asked Nikki. "No, where they at?" "Sitting out there in the third section, fourth row from the front." "Now, why didn't anybody tell us?" "I can guess why. I'm sure Cardi invited them, but my goodness, the least she could have done was told the rest of us." Towanda made it back to the dressing room. She quickly changed into her regular outfit. By now, Devilance Cooper was out there performing her song. That woman had some powerful pipes. Y'all ready? Towanda said. Yeah, we're ready. Before I left, I said to Nikki, let's do dinner before you head back to New York, Miss Thing. Oh, when I leave here, I'm headed right to Quebec, Canada. When are you leaving? In 2 days. That means we got to do breakfast in the morning. Okay, cool. We headed back to the auditorium. This was the first time we performed at the Grammys, the same time as Nikki. She looked very happy. I had asked her when she and Frontman would get married, and she said she wasn't ready to get married yet. That night, we won 3 Grammys. Nikki won 4, and Devilance Cooper won 2. 2 more artists from NP Records won Grammys as well. My uncle was a great producer and businessman. I scanned the auditorium, trying to see if I could spot my sisters. All I had to do was look for Johnny. He was wearing a bright green suit jacket, and because he was so tall, he would not be hard to spot. But they were nowhere in the auditorium. They must have taken off right after the event. Hey, Yo-Yo, did you find them? No. Dang, I wanted to see them girls too. My younger sisters weren't so little anymore. Darcel had to be 14 and Alice A had to be going on 16. The last time I'd seen them was about a year ago. We had to do better with regards getting together. There were 7 girls and we were so divided. I couldn't tell you when that started. The fights amongst these men didn't help either. It was when we reached the lobby that we caught up with Johnny. It was Towanda who spotted him. There that Bama go right there, Yo-Yo, there you go right there. We wove our way through the crowd, frustrating our protection officers in the process. We approached him from behind, but as we were, I overheard his conversation he was having with a young woman whom I assume was looking to get signed on a record label.
Here's my card, and when you get a manager, let me know.
He handed her his card. I didn't see Cardi anywhere nearby. The girl looked at the card and said, Hutchinson Sounds and Productions?
That's us. We're new, but we know our business. I'm not new in the business of producing. Okay, young lady?
Oh yeah, I remember who you are. You used to manage First Delegation. Where is Cardi? Wani leaned over and whispered to me, that's who I really wanted to find, and our sisters. We didn't have much reason to locate Johnny beyond that. We were looking around but did not see her. I tapped him on his shoulder. He turned around and seemed a little perturbed by my presence. Hi, Johnny. Is Cardi with you?
She's gone home already. You just missed her.
Oh, I was disappointed. He must have seen the disappointment in my face.
Sorry about that, Yolanda.
My younger sisters, are they still here? I asked. I was hoping that Alice had her driver's license and maybe they drove in a separate car.
They went with Cardi.
So, how is my sister?
She's doing great. You never stopped by to see her. Why don't you call and ask her?
That was not a fair statement or question, and Johnny knew it. He had always been a crass individual, putting the other person on defense in order to win the fight. He knew good and well Cardi had cut us off. Well, Johnny, I have tried to call her.
Trying is not enough.
Well, if she answered her phone, then maybe somebody could. Let's go. No use getting in the weeds with him. Let's roll. She pulled me away and our bodyguard led us to our waiting car. I wanted to cry. Towanda hugged me. He's influencing her. That's what's going on here. Towanda said once we got into the car, Sis, She is allowing him to influence her, Wani. I mean, come on, we're sisters. She should never cut herself off from her family. I know, I feel you on that. But Cardi has always been like that. You know, kind of vengeful. I didn't know what else to say about Cartienne Hutchinson. So, you know he's launched his own record company. Did you hear? Yeah, I thought I heard him say that. I figured Cardi would be signed on his label. Maybe that's what he meant when he said he had big things for her. So he rips my uncle off and then gets to launch his own company. That was just wrong. I mentioned this whole thing to Nikki the next morning at breakfast. We all met over Mama's house. Girl, it's so good to have my baby home for a change. Mama had a spread in the dining room consisting of pancakes, sausage, bacon, eggs, grits. She'd even cooked a separate pan of grits with cheese especially for Nikki. We were all gathered around the table, all except Cartienne. Front man accompanied Nikki. So, Manuel, when are you and my daughter tying the knot? Mama asked once she finally joined us at the table. Front man put his arm around Nikki and responded, I've asked, but she's not ready. Mama looked at Nikki. Is that right, Nikita? Mama, let me eat my grits in peace. You know I can't find no grits like this in New York. Not this good. So, what do you think about that move Johnny pulled? I asked my sister. Not surprised. Oh, I saw that one coming. He reached out to my friend Dominique when McCoy dropped Dom from our label. Frontman said, oh, really? I asked. Frontman was able to tell me a lot about Johnny. He told us that Doug McCoy said Johnny had been talking about leaving NP Records for more than 2 years before he ultimately left. So, he's been planning this from the beginning, I would think so, but don't quote me on that. This is hearsay from Doug. I'm sure there's enough talent to go around. But he stole from your own brother, Mom. Towanda reminded our mother. In exchange for not going to jail, Norman was able to get Johnny to sign an agreement stated that he accepted being terminated without a severance. Mama explained. It's the ethics of it though, Mom. I mean, he ripped off his own friend, your brother. Johnny would get his. Believe that. Believe that. Wow, these grits are delicious. I've never had them like this up in New York before. You've never had grits? Not like this. We have an IHOP in Brooklyn, but they don't cook them like this. My mama's from Alabama. Only in the South do you get grits like these. Nikki schooled her boyfriend. Oh, I wish you didn't have to leave soon, I told my sister before she and Frontman headed out. I'll be back. I'm touring through Quebec this month, but I should be back in the States in about 2 weeks. I looked at her. I couldn't stop looking at her. She was going on 22. She'd cut her hair into the asymmetric style many girls were wearing in the 1980s and wore the great big gold hoop earrings. It fit her style as a rapper. She usually sported Nike's jeans and New York basketball jerseys. We hugged. They hopped into Frontman's dark green BMW and sped off. I was so proud of her, but I wanted to cry once that car disappeared down the road. Chapter 17, The Oprah Show, Yolanda Davis. Never in a million years will I have guessed that Miss Winfrey would have us on her show. Uncle had gotten the call and told our manager, Lance, who'd taken over once Johnny left. We were so excited. We flew to Chicago and to the studio. Oprah was so cordial and cool. She sat down and talked to us the day before we were due to air. She'd lost a lot of weight and looked even smaller in person, but she looked fabulous. I was nervous. I heard her announce us before we walked on the stage. Let's welcome first delegation. Give it up. I walked out first with Towanda following me and Lydia behind her. We sat on the sofa while Oprah sat in the armchair across from us. Hello, ladies. Hello. Oprah looked towards the audience and said, "Did you hear that? They even say hello in harmony." So, let's go down the line here. I'm Yolanda Davis, Towanda Wicks, Lydia Preston. So how did you all get started? I began. Our Uncle Norman decided to go into producing. Before that, we were singing in the neighborhood. That's how a lot of groups get started. Did you know one day you would be as big as you are today? Oprah asked. We looked around at each other. Towanda was the first to speak up. No, not really. No, we didn't, I said. We just thought we'd make a couple of records. So you did not anticipate the love you would get from all the people in the world who would one day become your fans? No, actually no, I said as I shook my head. And we never want to disappoint them, my sister added as the audience laughed. Now came the toughest question. You originally had two other sisters in the original lineup, is that correct? Yes, but they have since moved on. No matter how nice, cordial, or warm a reporter was, I understood that we would never say anything negative about Tessa and Cardi. It was obvious why Nikki was no longer in our group. She'd gone solo and to another record label, but the other two had been missing from the public eye for a good while now, and not many people knew why. There have been reports regarding some activity Tessa had been involved in. Oprah pressed, and I hated that. But I was thankful that Towanda came swooping in there when she did. Sometimes people get caught up in the stuff that is not their fault. She's a very good person, very talented. So there was a misunderstanding there. Do any of you plan to go solo? Oprah's question seemed more directed at me than the other two. So I said, I have no plans to. I plan on acting. Towanda cut in, letting me off the hook again so that Oprah wouldn't continue prying on the subject of being solo. Towanda went on to tell Oprah about the sitcom that was about to air in the fall of 1987 and how she was already planning to join the show somewhere down the road. So you will leave music altogether? I don't think I will ever totally leave music. Oprah then decided to switch gears. So now we have arrived at the moment everyone's been waiting on. We got some response from the audience knowing we were about to perform. We will be back with the performance of First Delegation after the break. In only minutes, the stage was set up with 3 microphones on stands and the chairs were removed from the stage and the lighting dim with the spotlight on the 3 of us. Once again, Oprah announced us. Give it up for First Delegation. The intro of our song began and Towanda led with the opening verse. This was a song from our latest Soaring clouds took me to endless bounds. I was flying, sailing, rebelling against all gravity of an insane magnitude. I'm high again. On the next flight to begin. I'm coming down, take me high again. On the next flight to begin. I'm coming down, take me high again. On the next flight to begin. I'm coming down. That was a song that Towanda had a hand in writing. We'd started producing some of our own songs and sometimes would arrange and co-write material with Patrice. We'd grown in the last 9 years. That very day, I got a call from Cartienne congratulating us for making it to the Oprah show. Y'all look so good on TV. I am so happy for you, she said. She sounded much happier than I'd ever heard her before. Thanks, Cardi. Now, what's been going on with you? I asked, knowing her husband had launched his own company. We're working on some things at Hutchinson Sounds. Our company is located in Alexandria. You should come down. I would have loved to, but the feud between Uncle and Johnny was just way too fierce. Uncle couldn't stand that man. I suggested we'd meet at a neutral spot and maybe go out and have lunch somewhere, but she said she would get back to me on that. Chapter 18, Unbelievable, Yolanda Davis. We had to pass on the invitation to participate in the New York Fall Festival because we were working on our 4th album and Towanda had decided to be in the Silver Pearls perfume commercial. Her face in that commercial was only the beginning of companies wanting her to endorse them. She would become the face of Silver Pearls for years to come. They loved her so much. I headed up to the studio. We were about to rehearse for a show we would be performing at Los Angeles in December. We had to hustle very hard these days. We had little time for anything else. Dion and I would take Diamond to the studio with us sometimes, but Mama would watch Cardi's kids sometimes, and I didn't want to put more on her than she could handle because sometimes my sister's boys were bad. My husband used a MIDI keyboard to compose music, streaming the sound into an Apple computer, which made it easier to create tracks. You're late, Wani said the minute I joined her in the studio. I know, Diamond was giving me grief today. She all straightened out. Yeah, she wanted to stay home and play with her little friend in the neighborhood. Wani's mobile phone chirped. She answered, hello? Yes, this is Towanda Wicks. I noticed the look on her face turned sad. I wonder what happened. I became concerned. Okay. Thank you. She hung up the phone. What's up, Wani? That was my OBGYN. And I knew she and Lionel had been trying to have a child ever since they got married a year ago. You know, I told you that the doctor had said that his semen count was normal. So I went to my OBGYN and my doctor wanted me to come in for more tests. Oh, Wani, I'm so sorry. She put her hands over her eyes and started crying. Why is everybody having kids except me? Why? I know, Wani, I know. But maybe it will turn out to be something that they can fix. I don't know when that's going to happen, yo, when. We've been trying for a while now. You know, not everyone's having kids. I tried to lighten the mood. Patrice ain't got none. She doesn't even have a man. My cousin had already turned 30. Yo, you stupid. Lydia had come in and overheard what I said about Patrice, and she decided to add to the conversation. I'm going to put some more ink on this conversation. Maybe if she got herself a man, she wouldn't be so uptight. Okay, Lydia. Wani, do you want me to go to the doctor with you? Yes, would you please? Devilance Cooper came down to our studio. She'd been assigned to studio room 4 ever since that time we stepped on her time. I wondered why she was coming down to 3. I know girlfriend didn't think she was going to call herself asking us to do some backup vocals for her as she'd asked another young group called Captivation. They were so desperate to get more publicity that they did it. They were still in their teens, of course. They would one day learn that we don't back up anyone, full stop. She pranced over to us in a pair of 5-inch heels, wearing a pair of red fitted pants and a cheetah print top. She donned a long straight wig. I wondered if she went to the grocery store looking like that. Towanda had nicknamed her Diva Lance. I had to laugh, thinking about all the jokes my sister had for this woman. Devil Ants was also another good one that Wani often referred to her as. This chick turned around and looked at me and said, "I thought you ladies was in New York." "No, what makes you think that?" Lydia said. "They just announced on the radio that first delegation was set to perform at the New York Fall Festival. I just heard them announce it as one of the upcoming performances after the break." Me and my sister and cousin all scrambled out of our seats and ran down the hall to Uncle's office. There was a TV. Devilance wasn't able to run as fast in those high heels, so we left her behind. Uncle wasn't in, but I was able to use my key to unlock the door. We turned on the TV and tuned to NBC. A crowd of people were in Times Square around the stage. Atlantic Star was performing "Don't Take Me for Granted." Now, this gotta be a mistake. I know, because we told them we were not able to make the performance. I didn't understand. It seemed to take Atlantic Star more than 4 minutes to wrap up that song. And for the first time since hearing that song, I was hoping they would hurry up and finish. They were finally done, and another artist performed before they announced first delegation. What? Towanda and I said at the same time. There's got to be some mistake. And when we saw who first delegation were, we were even more shocked. 4 ladies came out. 2 were in their teens and the other 2 were in their 20s. Darcel put the microphone to her mouth and began bellowing out, "Tell me the truth." How I long to show my love for you, but it seems something stopped my pursuit. My feelings are blocked by something strange, and I wonder if it will ever change. I can say how I feel, that my love is real. The fear causes a dip, and my love is eclipsed. I can say how I feel, that my love is real. But fear causes a dip, and my love is eclipsed. We were so shocked that we were speechless. The others, Alice, Tessa, and Cardi, then piped in on the chorus, and Alice led the second verse. Each one led a verse, and when they performed that last chorus, Alice came in ad-libbing like you wouldn't know what. I had to admit, they sounded fabulous. But why were they using our name? Uncle was gonna hit the roof. Johnny was a slick SOB. He knew that if they performed under that name, they would gain a lot of attention from the audience. Once they were done, the host of BET said, "Give it up for first delegation." Wow, Yolanda, there was your little sister singing your part. Deverland said that in a way that made me think she was implying Darcel had done it better. She'd finally made her way to the office and was standing near the door. I turned around and rolled my eyes at that chick before she left the room. What are we gonna do, Yo-Yo? Is there anything we can do? Johnny just can't be allowed to use our name like that. I don't know what we're gonna do. So I called Uncle. Hey, Yolanda. Uncle, did you know that Cartienne and Tessa performed in New York today under our group name? Yes, and I've been speaking to my attorney about it. I found it out yesterday that they were performing. So what are you gonna do? The attorney said that if they have one original member from the original group, there's not much I can do. As it stood, Tessa and Cardi were two original members. I put him on speaker so that the others could hear. What? Are you serious, Dad? This ain't right. And can they use our material? Can they sing the same songs if they are not signed to the company that owns the songs, Uncle? That's another thing me and the attorney are working out. He said we can negotiate a royalty split. Otherwise, I would have to file a lawsuit against Hutchinson. Sue him! Sue him now, Uncle! Sue him now! Well, I have to first show that I made an attempt at negotiation before I file a suit. Uncle, but is there a way you can change our name or something? No, Yo-Yo, I don't think we should have to do that. We had that name first. I was sick to my stomach. Uncle seemed to know which direction he was headed, and I trusted him and Patrice for that. But it was Johnny's gall that sickened me. And why would Cardi and Tessie allow themselves to be called that? Was this a vindictive move? Patrice said she figured it was because if they called themselves first delegation, they would get more recognition. She didn't think the girls were being vindictive. But anyone who associates with Johnny Hutchinson long enough will become as dishonest as far as I was concerned as he is. Chapter 19, The Test Results, Yolanda Davis. I had gone with Towanda when she went to have tests run to find out why she could not get pregnant. Lionel thanked me for going with her because he had begun his East Coast tour that week. Now, a week later, we sat in the doctor's office awaiting the results. They'd drawn blood, taken her in for x-rays, pelvic examination. They poked and prodded my sister so much that day that when she returned home, she was tired. I felt so bad for her. I held her hand, waiting for the doctor to come out and call her. You gonna be okay, Wani? I sure hope so. I could feel the pain in her voice. Towanda Wicks called the nurse. We both followed the nurse into triage. The nurse took her weight. She was 128 pounds, had lost probably all the worry and stress she was going through. We went into the exam room and waited on the doctor. She entered 5 minutes later. Dr. Simonson was a 40-ish white woman with short dark hair. She was a tall, slender woman with a friendly face. I thought she was phenomenal. She had delivered my baby. She sat down, turned on a small computer on the table, and said, "So, Towanda, how are you doing today?" "I'm hanging in there." "It's nice to see you again, Yolanda. How have you been?" "I'm doing fine. What about you, Doc?" "I'm great." "Well, Towanda, we have discovered what the issue is." We both braced ourselves, holding our breath. "You have blockage in your fallopian tubes." What does that mean, doctor?" "That your eggs cannot pass through the tubes into the uterus once released from your ovaries. When this occurs, you cannot get pregnant. There is no egg there to meet the sperm for fertilization." "Towanda, all is not lost. Mrs. Wicks, all is not lost." Dr. Simonson stood, touched her on the shoulder in a reassuring way. Towanda raised her head, hope in her eyes. "Yes, this is an issue that can be corrected. We would have to do a simple procedure that will unblock your tubes." "Is there a reason her tubes are blocked to begin with?" I asked, knowing my sister was too emotional to even think to ask that. In Towanda's case, it is unknown why. "But it can be corrected." "Yes, and we'll just have to schedule time to do it. Do you have any scheduled tours coming up, Towanda?" "Yes, November." That was 2 months away. Whew. "Then we can get you in by next week. By November, you should be fully recovered." So the procedure was scheduled for the next week. I was assured my sister would be okay after that. We headed over to our father's house after leaving the doctor's office. Chapter 20. The division had deepened. Yolanda Davis. Daddy hugged us the minute he saw us. Alice and Darcel had not arrived back in Maryland yet, so we did not get to see them.
"How's it going, girls? Have a seat."
Wani and I were so thankful Marie Alice was out running errands because we needed this time with our father alone. "Daddy, I have some concerns."
You mean about Darcel and Alice being signed to Johnny Hutchinson's label? I for sure would never allow them to be signed with Norman Preston, especially not after the way he treated my daughter.
"What did my uncle do?" I asked, almost pleading.
He fired Tessa Nay.
"Daddy, it wasn't personal."
It was personal
Uncle
to
just
me.
had to.
Tessa is just much my daughter as the rest of you. I care about her as much as I care about you, Yolanda.
"But Dad, you don't know Johnny. The man is cutthroat." He seemed to calm down a little bit. "You may as well have thrown your baby girls to the sharks, letting them sign on with Johnny."
What can I do now? They're under a 5-album contract.
5 albums? Daddy, that's crazy. Towanda finally spoke up.
Alice writes her own music. I'm sure it can be done.
"Daddy, just do me a favor. Make sure Alice and Darcel retain the rights to their music no matter what happens. And if you need help, I can show you how to do that. Because if that man takes their music, they'll never be able to get it back. They may as well say goodbye to any royalty check that may come even if someone else covered their song. He seemed to take heed to what I was saying. If you don't do anything else, please look out for the best interests of these girls.
Okay, I'll accept your help on that. I don't want my girls to be taken advantage of.
Oh, thank you so much, Daddy. I closed my eyes and grabbed his hand. We sat around the table eating pizza and talking and laughing afterwards. Towanda felt much better, and the hope that she could one day conceive was growing. Chapter 21, Legal Stuff, Yolanda Davis. I accompanied Uncle, Patrice, and the attorney to the hearing for negotiations. I spotted Johnny in the building waiting on an elevator when he entered. He was wearing a jerry curl, which I thought was played out in the late 1980s. He was a supreme bammer, not only because of the way he dressed, but because of the way he behaved. There was nothing more pitiful than a man in his 40s still behaving like he was 29. We had a tour coming up in the next 2 weeks, and here we were dealing with all this unnecessary legal stuff instead of enjoying making others happy with our productions. Uncle had told me that I didn't have to accompany them, but I insisted. We met in the conference room. Johnny was there with his attorney, who shook hands with our attorney. They began discussing the usage of the name First Delegations.
I own the name. I was the one who named the group. I should be able to use it however I want.
But you don't own the material your company is performing. You don't have permission to use what my daughter owns that belongs to my company.
Johnny leaned back in his chair with a smirk.
Well then, I'll stop using your material if you quit using the name I established. Then we have a deal.
Our attorney spoke up, speaking to the other attorney.
If Mr. Hutchinson is using material that has been copyrighted by NP Records, don't you think it would at least be fair to share at least 50% of the royalties if your other group First Delegation performs it?
Why don't you ask Mr. Preston what's fair?
Johnny piped in, not letting his attorney speak for him. The attorney touched Johnny's arm to calm him down.
I think if Mr. Preston is requesting 50%, that would be fair enough. What do you think, Johnny?
Oh no, not on your life. Whose side are you on, man?
I'm on your side. No doubt I'm on your side. But I'm sure you want to look out for the best interests of your artist the same way Mr. Preston is looking out. We're here to negotiate.
The middle-aged, short, balding white man started getting nervous. It's no doubt that Johnny couldn't make a man like him nervous. Johnny grabbed his keys and stood up abruptly.
The meeting is over. I guess we'll see each other in court.
He looked directly at Uncle when he said that. Uncle stayed calm the entire time. This was a man who never showed his hand. I looked at Uncle and Patrice. He shrugged and said,
I got this, girls. I got this.
He told his daughter, and she nodded in agreement. They apparently knew what they were doing, and so the fight continued. Chapter 22, Moving On, Yolanda Davis.
Guess what, baby?
Dion came up behind me, grabbing me around the waist while I stood at the sink washing dishes. What?
Scotty is with Johnny's label. He plays in a band for Cartienne.
Oh, well, I hope he's happy. I realized Cartienne went solo when she dropped her single in March of 1988. I remember when you told make our love anew. I remember, I remember, I remember, I remember. The name of her song, I Remember, was written by Elise and had already climbed the R&B charts to number 5 and was number 2 on the pop charts. I was so proud of her. She seemed happy. I had called her to congratulate her and asked her if she would perform in the 10th anniversary of NP Records. She told me she didn't think she would be able to because it conflicted with another event she had going on. You was leaving me. There was something I could hardly see. I could hardly see, 'cause I remember. I was surprised to see Nikki show up at Uncle's studio one day. She didn't tell me she was coming to Maryland because she wanted to surprise me. Hey, girl. Hey, guess what? You and Frontman are getting married. I took a wild guess. Be serious, Yolanda. Well, you told me to guess. She rolled her eyes at me. Nah. I was going to say that I'm here to throw down some rap lyrics on Devilance Cooper's song. What? I wanted Nikki to have nothing to do with that woman. Why? Huh? 'Cause she asked me to. That's why. And we couldn't even get you to breathe on our last album. You know that's not right, Nikki. Because I was busy. But I'm taking a break from music this year. Other than these lyrics I'm about to put down today. Because I want to go to this audition. Audition for what? I didn't think Uncle and Patrice were authorizing any more auditions for that new sitcom. They had already aired season 1, and it was a success. NBC wanted them back for a second season. No, for a movie. What movie? Are you serious? Yeah, I'm serious. I'm auditioning for the Morton Brief. I knew she was referring to this action-packed, politically influenced film starring Bruce Willis and Nicolas Cage. I knew a few people who were trying out for that film. It was being produced in D.C. and Northern Virginia, right in our own backyard. Babe, I hope you make it. I hugged her. So, Yolanda, have you heard that new song by the Dolls? I knew who the Dolls were. I wasn't into white female singers other than Tina Marie, whose voice was so soulful that you could forget she was white. No, I haven't heard them. Aren't they Johnny's artists? He'd signed that duo onto his label about a year ago. Yeah, but they good. Yo, you should hear that new song called Back. I love that song. The title of that song sounded familiar to me. Any other time I would have gotten on her case for supporting that Bama's artist, but she had shared something with me that I think I needed to know. She headed up to Studio Room 4, where Devilance was recording. As soon as she was gone, I headed down to Uncle's office, logged on to the computer, and looked up the Dolls. I knew Uncle would kill me, but I signed onto an application that allowed producers to play the videos of other artists. The intro began, and I was shocked. It was no wonder that song sounded familiar. And now so do the lyrics. And it didn't take a brain surgeon to figure out where that song came from. What nerve Johnny had. He knew we were in legal proceedings with him, and he still had the nerve to record a song that did not belong to his company. Or maybe he didn't think we would find out. I headed down to the record store, bought the Dolls cassette, and headed down to Hutchinson Sound and Productions. They were located off Duke Street in Alexandria, Virginia. I found a parking space and headed into the building. There were 4 floors. It was not as large as our building, but it was a pretty good size. I had to be buzzed in by the front desk clerk. She lit up when she saw me. Hi, what a nice surprise. Is Johnny Hutchinson here? Ah, yes, he's here. Do you have an appointment? No, I simply said, but this is important. Okay, I'll call and see if I can get him down here. Her voice was starting to annoy me like you wouldn't believe. She picked up the phone and said, Yolanda Davis is here to see you. Okay, sir. He'll be right down. I was shocked he would even want to see me. Ma'am, can I have your autograph? You sure your boss wouldn't mind? I asked as I accepted the pen and piece of paper from her and started autographing my name on it. It's for me. Oh, wow. Thank you so much. You're welcome. Johnny came sauntering around the bend after I heard an elevator chime. He headed towards me with a smile on his face.
Well, this is a surprise I did not expect.
Johnny, I came to talk to you about a business-related matter.
That's an interesting gesture on your part. What can I do for you?
Is there some place we can discuss this privately? Other than the girl at the front desk, there were people entering and leaving the building, and I did not want to get ignorant in front of people in case I had to curse him out. He led me to a private space away from everyone.
I knew you'd one day come to me for help. Your uncle ain't treating you right like he did your sisters, huh?
I ignored his statement and held up the tape. What is this?
That's the dolls. And?
The song? Where'd you get it?
How would I know that? They recorded it. They wrote it.
What other material had you stolen from my cousin before you left? If you stole money, I'm sure you stole material.
It's funny how you could come all the way down here and start trouble with me, but you can't come down here to visit your sisters and hear them record.
Don't try to flip this, Johnny. He knew he was caught. Maybe he didn't think Patrice would notice. After all, the woman had written hundreds of songs. He probably thought that one would slip by somehow, but his arrogance was off the charts. Without a word, I walked away.
Yolanda, you can always come see me if you ever need a job, okay, baby?
As I headed to my Mercedes, I spotted a young lady getting out of a Pathfinder. She had a small boy with her. Come on, Gavin, she said, gently helping the child out of the car. Alice, I said. She turned towards me and threw her arms around me. Yolanda, I'm so glad to see you. Same here. How have you been, baby? I'm fine. I smiled. This girl was 17 now, had grown an inch taller than me, and was as beautiful as she could be. She reminded me so much of Nikki with those dimples. I knelt down and kissed my nephew. How you been, Gavin? I'm fine, Aunt Yolanda. Oh, that's good to hear. Why I don't see you at Grandma's no more? Because I have tours sometimes, baby. But we gotta spend some time together, you know. He was 6 years old now. It was so good to see you, Alice. I was about to head to my car, but she stopped me. Yolanda, is there some place we can sit down and talk? Now? I asked. Yes. I don't want us to talk here, though. Sure. You want to meet me across the Potomac? We chose to meet at a pizza joint across the Woodrow Wilson Bridge on Indian Head Highway. We each ordered a slice of pizza. So, what's up? I said once we got settled in our booth. I have to figure out a way to get us off of Johnny's label. I perked up. What happened? I can't stand Johnny. He's a tyrant. He doesn't pay us. He says that all the tours and concerts we do absorb the cost. So by the time we look up, We're paying him instead of him paying us. Did you let an attorney view your contract before you signed? No, we thought we could trust him. You were very young when Uncle severed ties with him, so you wouldn't have understood back then what he was all about. I went on to tell her all the stuff he'd done. You do own the rights to your music, don't you? Yes, Daddy did get us hooked up with an attorney for that. It was a good thing there was nothing in the contract that stipulated he would own our music. We are still in the middle of a legal fight with Johnny, so I'm not sure you and I should be talking. But we're sisters, Yolanda. Me and Darcel need your help. Help us get out of this contract. Yolanda, he's a dishonest man. I will talk to Patrice and Uncle. They may be able to figure out a way to get you out of this. Thank you, sis. She lowered her eyes to the table before she added, Cartienne needs your help too. That statement was like cold water in my face. Why? What's happening? Johnny's beating on her and he's cheating on her with one of them white chicks from the dolls. She wants to leave him, but she doesn't know how. He's holding all the assets. Did she tell you all that? Yes, she confides in me a lot. There was a 10-year difference between Cartienne and L, but I was glad she was there for Cartienne. What about Tessa? How is she doing? Not much better than Cartienne. She was doing side work at clubs just to pay the bills when Johnny found out. He threatened to sue her. Before that, her drug-addicted boyfriend was taking all of her money. Do you know where she lives? Not any place like permanent or anything. I offered her to come stay at Daddy's, but her pride won't allow her. She don't like Marie Alice. I reached across the table and grabbed her hand reassuringly. I cannot make any promises, sweetie, but I will see what I can do on our end. I'm moving on, Yolanda. He can sue me or whatever, and I'm taking Darcy with me. I don't blame you, kid, but I would still run all this by our uncle. I'm sure there's something he can figure out for you. Thank you, Yolanda. Chapter 23, The Unexpected from the Expecting. Yolanda Davis. Dang, where you been, Yolanda? Towanda bellowed when she saw me sitting in Mama's dining room. Every now and then, I had to come over and get some of her cornbread. Towanda, what do you mean, where have I been? I've been calling that crappy cell phone of yours. I know, this thing does not always pick up a signal. I'm thinking about going with AT&T. I heard they're pretty good. I don't care if you gotta go to A to Z. You need to pick up your phone, Yo-Yo. Mama placed the cornbread pan on a towel in the middle of the table. I grabbed a knife and started cutting. Okay, Wani, stop being so mean, okay? You just be acting like I'm pregnant. I stopped cold and looked at her. She stood over me with a smile. That's right. You're gonna be an auntie. Oh, man, girl! I jumped up and down and hugged her. So, how far gone are you? I'm due in November. That means you're 5 months. She really wasn't showing. No wonder she was able to pull it off when we performed in concert featuring Chaka Khan and Patti LaBelle. I had a sonogram yesterday. They said it looks like a girl. Goodness, we don't need any more girls in this family. Tessa already has twin girls. I got Diamond, and here you come with another girl. But Cardi got 2 boys. Thank goodness for that. I don't care what she has as long as the baby is healthy. Mama said. Lionel came in, kissed Towanda, and sat down. Congratulations, Daddy, I told my brother-in-law.
Thanks, sis. I'm really happy about it, you know.
Lionel was off tour until after the baby. He looked so happy sitting there next to her. It was probably his dream to marry her.
Well, if you're still here, that must mean you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're feeling my vibe. Once again, this is Ran Wise on the scene of the crime. So I want y'all to have a good night and stay tuned for part 4. Like I said, it gets better every single time. All right. Have a good one. Bye-bye.